Hello, I am Mia Johnson, and this is my back to school with Miss Johnson. This is my website. To start off, this is the home page, and this is just a list of all the categories up here at the top of the screen, and if you click down on them, they'll drop down. And so I've listed here in the corner under Here You Will Find. I put all the categories and then what you will find under the subcategories. If you scroll down further, you come to my Welcome to First Grade. This was one of my favorite things to do because it felt like I was getting ready to start the school year in my own classroom. So this is one of my favorite things. I'm going to scroll back to the top and then we're going to go to the Meet the Teacher page. Now this page was definitely my favorite page to create, and all the different assignments I got to write about who I am and what I want to do, and I got to explain everything I've been working for over the past few years, so that was a really cool moment for me. Here is my professional biography, and it explains where I'm from, what I'm doing, what I plan to do once I graduate, and it explains a little bit about what I've been doing the whole time I've been in school in Baton Rouge at Louisiana State University. This section is kind of a tie back into the first page where I wrote the Welcome to First Grade letter. This is a little short thing to add to this page just to kind of if I use this page in the future, just really emphasize how excited I am to do my first year. Here at the bottom is a little section about me. This is where I'm from. These animals over here in the corner are what mean the most to me in this world. I wrote a little bit about my personal life, just so my kids kind of have an idea of what kind of person I am, as well as their parents. As you continue to scroll down, this paragraph over here under my education is what I'm currently doing, what I will graduate with from Louisiana State University in fall 2026. This is what I plan to do after, and hopefully that plan comes through. And in our classroom, these are the rules I listed because I do plan to use this page in the future, so I'd like to have things like this in our classroom, and these are all the rules and things that I feel like I've seen in classrooms over the past few years that I felt really stood out to me, and there were rules on their walls and in their room that I really liked. Alright, so the next page, if you click on these bars up here, they drop down, and it'll be the why. First we'll start with ISTE Standards for Education. Here you will find where we practice using AI to write paragraphs about the standards. This assignment, I wouldn't say was my favorite, but it was neat to learn how to use the Gemini, and then I didn't know you could share the chat, like what you typed and then what Gemini responded with. So that was really interesting and fun to learn about. I, before this class, have never used Canva, so it was very fun to learn how to do that. And I kind of went down a rabbit hole when we did that assignment because I was like, this is amazing. There are so many resources and different things you can do. These are all the ISTE standards. And then these are the rest of them. There are 7. Alright. And then I'm going to go to the Future Ready skills up here at the top. Oh. Okay. Future Ready skills. Alright. So this was a paragraph that we wrote based off of a few different articles, and I honestly found the article and the TED Talk really informative. I thought that it was very eye-opening because he talks about how things have changed, like phones don't look the same as they did 50 years ago, not even 10 years ago. But the only thing that's falling behind and not changing is education and education material. So I thought that was very interesting. I'm normally someone who loves TED Talks, and that one was really great. To start off here, this is the Future Ready Skills AI vocabulary. Here we listed a word, and we wrote a prompt and typed our reasoning. This was the reasoning behind like the picture and why I thought that the image that AI came up with matched. So right here, says type your reasoning. This is why I thought the image was accurate to what I listed up here. For example, the word was time management. The prompt I put in to trigger the image was learning how to use your time well, and I feel like this is a pretty good description or accurate image of that. If you scroll down, there are several other words. Collaboration. I'll quickly go through all of these. Collaboration. This is everyone working. I kind of said that here, put in working well with others. And that's what it produced. Problem solving. I felt like this picture was a really good representation of that, having the fire in your hands, like a physical problem, and then having to use your brain to see ways to solve that problem. Creativity. This I thought was an interesting image, because typically something they'll use in school is to put your thinking cap on, and it kind of looks like he's wearing a thinking cap, and there's a lot of icons around him, and some of them are pulling from like social media or books or a computer or his own brain, different thoughts. I thought that was really, the images that it was pulling were really well. Communication, they're communicating in different ways, verbally, via phone, and then that's it for that page. We're going to go to the must know and click on artificial intelligence. This activity down here, the Google Draw, was also one of my top 5 favorite activities. It was really fun and interesting to see how far artificial intelligence has come. Up here is a paragraph about the ways that what I've learned about artificial intelligence, what it does for education and students and teachers, a positive way, that it helps. It does individual based learning for whatever student is using the program or app or game or whatever it is, but an important thing to note about AI is that it cannot replace the emotional relationships that teachers build with students. This is what I drew, and this is what it thought what it thought the drawing was as I was drawing it, until it finally got watermelon. Alright, this is the Magic School tool. This was an email. I wrote a prompt. The prompt is not on here, but I kind of addressed like issues of being disturbing or not wanting to work well in groups or not wanting to participate in class. And so as a future teacher, that was a concern of how to properly communicate with parents on, addressing issues that might be a difficult topic. So that was really awesome to find a resource for that. This is a lesson plan. This is a 2nd grade lesson plan using adjectives to describe nouns. This is a lesson plan created via ChatGPT. So I will slowly scroll through this. It breaks it down into the first part. It's guided practice, independent practice, the assessments and extensions that can be done also. Next is evaluations. Start with the Apple Teacher Certificate. This is my Apple Teacher Certificate this was actually a fun thing to complete, and I learned a lot more about my computer than I originally knew about it, and ways to get creative with it. And go to resources, podcasting. Okay. This was one thing I was extremely nervous about doing when I read the assignment. This was something I've never done before, and I wasn't familiar with podcasts, really. I had a few professors use them in the past as an educational tool, but it wasn't until now that I really got to dive into them. And this is a podcast that I listened to. These are the things that I felt like I grabbed from it. I did enjoy this podcast. I think it was a really good podcast on time management, because I feel like that's one thing I struggle with in my daily life and want to resolve and go into teaching with the best idea of how to avoid wasting time. Mobile apps. So an app that I know was popular when I was in school and my parents used to keep in touch with my teachers while I was in school was Class Dojo. This is information on Class Dojo, the overview of the app. It was really easy. I also asked my mom about this, how she felt from a parent point of view, and she said it was a nice way to see behavior in the classroom. I found that it was pretty much compatible with every kind of device, different ways to download it. It worked for all ages. The price of the app was free, so that was a positive. It had multiple benefits in the classroom. I feel like it was a good way for students and teachers to keep track of a student's progress, them to visibly see, like, oh, I'm doing better, or, oh, there's things I need to work on. And then I feel like it gave an easier way for guardians and teachers to communicate as well, because I know it's hard sometimes for teachers to track, and this is an app they can have on their mobile phone that they can check. The ratings, I use Common Sense Media for the ratings. This is a site that reviews different education apps and kind of creates a review on them and what they think is good, the pros, the cons. This is a tutorial for the app, and that is it from this page. And we will go to digital images. Back to school. This was a new thing I had never heard of before, Wakelet. This was actually an assignment that was kind of difficult at first, but once I got the hang of it, adding things to it kind of became fun and addicting. It was super easy once you got the hang of it. And then the last thing was the digital storytelling. This was a project that was a little intimidating. It was, I think, maybe my least favorite assignment. I think it was because of the level of difficulty and a lot of unfamiliar things, but I also think it was things that I needed to learn, so that was what made it fun. This first thing up here is a slideshow of the different parts, basically the rock of it all, and then scrolling down, this is my video script of the video. This helped a lot as I was not familiar with recording at all, so being able to visualize it and then piece it together in the video was helpful. These are all the slides that I used, and I made sure to write exactly what I was saying in each slide so I could follow through really simply. And down here is the video that I created, and that was actually really fun and exciting. I learned a lot of new things. Thank you for everything you've taught me in this class, and I had a really fun fun time learning about AI in education. Bye.